Welcome to my Unreal Engine course, where we'll use state trees to make a complete boss fight. This course will be separated into 12 episodes, each with a specific goal in mind, and this course is aimed for people who are new to enemy AI, but already know the absolute basics of the engine. So if this is your first time learning about enemy AI, then this is the perfect course for you. I will now break down what we'll be covering in each episode. Here we are in my Miro board for the planning of the entire course. I used this when I was planning my own episodes. As you can see, there are 12 parts to this course. This one has 2 because I was going to do 13 episodes, but I merged the episodes together. In the first episode, we're just going to look at how can we set up the boss. We just go through some of the default things like making the project, importing some of the basic assets we're going to be using, such as the boss mesh and the animations. That's all free, by the way, and we get it from the Fab store. Nothing else required. I'll show you, it's really easy, really quick to set up. That's just a setup video. Then in the second episode, we get into some actual AI behavior. We look at how can we use the state tree to make an idle and chase sequence. So now the boss is going to chase the player when they see them. We also look at AI perception. So how can the boss actually see and detect the player? Then we look at basic attacks for the boss. So we give the boss multiple basic attack animations between which he can choose which one to use. And we look at how can we use this animation driven way of making an attack. And we actually go into quite a lot of detail on how the boss is going to do the damage. We don't just say spawn in damage in front of the player. We actually make it so that there's a distance tracker, or rather there's a sphere trace around the boss's hand, which moves with the hand and detects if anything is in that area. So it's very precise, actually hitting on the hand. Then in the fourth episode, we just create the player and boss's health bars. This is quite important because without the health bar, obviously you can't see the boss's health, but we make it so that the boss's health bar will appear on the screen when the player sees the boss, or rather when the boss sees the player. And it isn't just there automatically. You only see the health bar when the combat starts. Then we look at how to properly make the death state for the boss, because instead of just saying destroy actor when the boss dies, we want to actually make a state in the state tree and properly handle the death transition, and we go into lots of detail about why that's important in the 5th video. Then we look at a boss heal attack move for the boss. This isn't really an attack move, I don't know why I call it an attack, but essentially the boss will be able to find a retreat location, move to the retreat location, heal up, and then go back into the combat. We will particularly look at how can we use environment state queries to find a random location far away from the player. That's a very interesting episode. In the 7th and 8th episode, we look at this thing that I call the fatal attack. Now, the fatal attack is just a name I invented, but essentially it's this entire sequence where every time the player damages the boss, they do a certain amount of increase to the boss's attack gauge. When this attack gauge is full, if the player heavy attacks the boss gets stunned, and then when the boss is stunned, the player can do this heavy attack. There's a zone that appears on the ground next to the boss. If the player goes into this zone, they can optionally start the attack, and then it's this whole chain of event that demonstrates this fatal attack special attack move. Then we add in the 9th episode how the player can parry the boss. That's very interesting. It's reasonably standard setup. We look at, when the player is at 2 points of an animation, between these points we need to make sure that the player is in parry mode, so then if they try and take damage, they are going to reflect that as a parry. That's very interesting. In the 10th episode, we look at the Shockwave attack, where if the player keeps running away from the boss, if the boss cannot catch up to the player, they're going to get angry, they're going to smash the ground and create these 2 shockwaves that's going to spread across the map and do damage to the player unless they jump over. In the 11th episode, near the end now, we look at how can we set the boss into phase 2. So if the boss goes below 50% health, he's going to transition from phase 1 to phase 2, and we look at the difference between copying and pasting blueprints and actually creating a child actor of a parent class. What does that do? Why do we do that? All that cool stuff. And in the final video, we add this fireball attack, where whilst the boss is in phase 2, they can throw a fireball at the player, but also we slightly tweak their base attack, so when they're in phase 2, whenever they do an attack, they will spawn this fireball coming down from the sky, which will land on the player unless they move out of the way. Here I'm back in the engine and I'm just showing you this is the final blueprint. We have everything set up. We start with the chase function, we move on to the melee attacks, we add some heal, the fireballs down here. Everything is nice and organized. You can see with comments all over the place where everything is. That's what our code's going to look like at the end. There's quite a lot, but this is over 12 episodes, so it's 12 hours worth of content. If we look at the test fight now, let's just take a look and see how it works. Here I'm starting the game. Let's just click play. We spawn in. We're behind this cover. The boss fight hasn't started yet because the boss fight will only start when the boss sees the player and interacts with the player. Boss sees the player. Okay, this is actually a little bit unlucky. So in the boss, every 10 seconds there's a 1 in 10 chance that the boss is going to run away and do his retreat location to heal. So that was just unlucky there, unlucky timing, and that's why he ran away from us. If he cannot catch us within 5 seconds, he will smash the ground and spawn these hit attacks. But if he does catch to us, then he's never going to trigger that. It's only if we run away from him for too long. He's always chasing us. If we attack him, I'm just doing some clicks. Eventually, we will knock him down. If we go to the zone, press E. We'll do the special attack, and we actually mixed with the phase transition there. As you see, he had that sort of like raw animation, which sends him into the second transition. Now he's going to chase us. Every time he attacks us, this zone spawns on the ground. Because it's in the second phase, that's going to cause a fireball to spawn in from the sky. And he also has access to a different fireball attack move now. There he's just running away. That's his retreat location for the heal. We just killed him, and he has that special death animation with the special death transition. Very cool. Let's just take a look at the state tree. Here is the completed state tree. These are all the states we will make. We go into quite a lot of detail about what goes on in the state tree. How do the transitions between states work? How do we make new states properly? How do we obviously transition between them, add tasks to them? How can we pass variables in between states? So if we want to find a retreat location in one state, how can we store that value in a variable and pass it onto the next state? We look at what the different types of entries for state tasks are. So obviously we look at how to make a task. What do these functions do? Obviously making variables in tasks, handling tasks. Yeah, we go into lots of detail on how to use the state tree and how to interface between the state tree and the boss. Besides talking of interfaces, we use interfaces a lot in this. In our int_boss, we make lots of functions. So yeah, this course is really for people who have never used state trees before. They've never really got into AI before, although I do expect a base minimum understanding of the engine. I'm not talking a lot, I'm just meaning, you know, this isn't the first time you're looking at the engine, right? You know how you can press play, you know how you can make a new blueprint, you know how you can just navigate around the engine. I explain everything in loads of detail. This course goes on for 12 hours. It's jam-packed with information. You know, when we make interfaces, I spend ages explaining what are interfaces, what are the pros and cons, why do we use them, what are the alternatives. You know, we explain everything in loads of detail for enums, EQSs. But I do expect that, you know, if I said to you, let's make a new blueprint for our character, that without me having to show you, you'd be able to right click, go to blueprint class, and then click on character, right? You have touched the engine before, that's what I'm expecting. But again, you know, I expect that you're a beginner to AI, so anything that's related to enemy AI specifically, we cover in loads of detail, and we go through it multiple times over the episodes to really reinforce learning. And at different parts of the course, I'll pause and I'll ask you to try and think about how you do it. I don't expect people to do it themselves during the course, but sometimes I will ask you to at least have a think about why we do things. Because during this course, I think it's very important to understand that, yes, you want to copy what I'm doing, but you don't just want to blindly copy. You don't just want to exactly follow the steps without questioning it. I want to promote you to really question everything I'm doing. Think about why I'm doing what I'm doing. Not just, okay, he made a new interface, but why has he made an interface? Why didn't he just say, cast to BP underscore base boss? Why did he use an interface? And that's actually one of the topics we're going to talk about in a lot of detail. The difference between interfacing and casting. That's in one of the episodes. And as you can see, the boss fight is already 100% finished. By the time this episode comes out on YouTube, I have already completed all the episodes for this series. All the episodes are up and available on my Patreon, so you can get them instantly if you want to see the entire course on my Patreon, along with the completed project files for the boss fight. At the very beginning of the episode, I showed a demo of the boss fight in like a sort of set arena. That I don't show you how to set that up. We don't make that. I just imported that as an asset. But if you want that asset, it comes with the end project files. And it's just a great way to support the channel. I spend a lot of time making this course, planning this course, making the episodes as well as the system. So, by becoming a Patreon member, you're greatly supporting the channel. But even if you don't want to do that, if you just subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think about the episodes. If there's anything you particularly want to see, if you think, oh, this feature would be really interesting to see in the course, then I can add extensions to the course. I can make more videos, publish more videos. But for now, we've just got a set 12 episodes plus this introduction episode. So in total 13, but it's really 12. And it lasts roughly 12 hours, roughly 1 hour per episode. But I do expect, like I said, that you're going to take it a bit slower through the episodes, and you should really pause at certain times, question what I'm doing, and really test your understanding. So it will take you more than an hour to go through a 1 hour long video, probably like 2 hours for a 1 hour long video. So it will be a good development session. Yeah, that is my AI using state trees course. I'm gonna publish one episode every 3 days. So when you're seeing this video on the 5th of October 2025, I'm going to publish the course introduction and the first episode of the series. Then after that, I'm going to release a new episode every 3 days. So one on the 8th, one on the 11th, on the 14th, on the 17th, on the 20th, etc, etc. I'm going to slowly drip feed them over time, one every 3 days until the entire course has come out. But like I said, they're instantly available, all of the episodes on my Patreon. So if you want to get them straight away, sign up to my Patreon. It's cheaper than if you bought a Udemy course. So, if you think about how much a Udemy course costs, it's what, like £13 on sale, but who buys them when they're not on sale? My Patreon with the video preview is £10 a month. $10 a month rather, and just for project files it's $5 a month. So you can get the project files for $5, and you can get the project files with all the videos early access for $10 a month. So I mean, considering I've got lots of other project files as well, like inventory systems, climbing systems, building systems, editing systems, loads of systems, that's just great value for money. Enough with the Patreon promo. You're here because you want to see the course. So yeah, first video is going to be published right along with this one, so hopefully I'll see you in the first video.